You see this? Let's make it. Alright guys, in this video I'm going to show you how I created my character called Catalina. And the concept art was actually made by my girlfriend, who made this beautiful girl from scratch. And she recorded the whole process, so I'm just gonna show that on screen. It was already sped up. She drew it on her iPad. And yeah, make sure to follow her on her Instagram. She hasn't posted this character on there yet, but she's basically been struggling with the whole art side of things, because honestly she hasn't been drawing for long, and she's very critical of herself. I always keep telling her don't do that, and this goes for anybody, by the way, that starts out. Give yourself a break, you know. Even if it, like your artwork, when you just start out with any type of art, it's not gonna look like what you see on ArtStation or on some Pinterest post or somebody that has years and years of experience behind them. You're not gonna look like that, and that's completely fine, because they didn't look like that either when they started out. Okay, so be fair to yourself. Yeah, honestly, that's the best advice I can give you. And because if you tell yourself that you're doing bad, you're gonna discourage yourself from working on something. But you have to work on your art. That's the only way you can improve, by staying consistently at it. All right. Anyway, I know you didn't click on this video for me rambling about why you should continue your art. I know you perverts clicked on this because of the titties of this character, but you know, that's fine. I'm not judging. I mean, I am, but listen, it's my video, okay? I can judge who I want to judge. You're judging me for creating this. So there you go. That's the final character. And yeah, like I said, this was more of a collaboration between me and my girlfriend, rather than me just creating an artwork that I found online or something, which is really nice, because if you work closely or together with the original artist, you can make changes and stuff and discuss them, and basically improve upon the original concept art. So here we are in Blender. Yeah, I start out with a sphere, flatten the sides, you know, bring down the jaw and draw out my my lines first for the eyes, the nose, the mouth. This is all pretty basic stuff. At this point, it's more so laying down the shape of a random stylized face, rather than capturing the likeliness of the character. And with stylized characters, you know, there is a difference, obviously. With you have larger eyes, maybe a smaller cranium, and in this case, she drew the lips. Like, you see the top lip, it's almost like a triangle. I wanted to keep that in there. I didn't want to like fix anything or whatever, because this is the concept art and I knew it was gonna look interesting. One thing I was struggling with was the nose, because usually I draw these noses very pointy and upwards, but if you keep doing that with every character, what's gonna end up happening is that all your characters are gonna look the same. And like I said in previous videos, when you create lips or a mouth, always carve inwards. Use the crease brush, carve in, and you know, use the move tool or clay strips to add a little bit of lip, but then mostly carve away. Don't add anything before you carve anything away. All right, so yeah, like I said, you're gonna see me struggle with the nose, and I initially I did make it pointy, and then I added like a shape key to my character and sculpted on top of that. That is, by the way, a good thing to keep your model from to be able to recover your previous version. If you don't want to make copies on your model, just add a shape key, you know, add a shape key, make sure the value is set to 1, and sculpt on your character. Or, you know, move the vertices around. I don't think you can add stuff when you're modeling. It doesn't really work that way, but when you're just changing the position of vertices and faces and edges, You can actually use shape keys, that's what it's for. So at this point, I gave her a wide jaw because I see in the reference her face is quite wide. And that's something I'm going to keep on touching more and more. Because in my model, the character's face look quite puffy. You know, like she has chubby cheeks. So yeah, there were a bunch of things I was struggling with that. For the ears, by the way, I always just add another sphere. I always just use spheres. In the past, I would model a portion of like the body or the face and then start sculpting, but nowadays I don't even bother with that because I can give it shape with just the move tool and the snake hook tool, and that's fine with me. Yeah, at this point I start blocking out the hair, and initially I thought I was gonna add hair curves, but the other day in Fortnite I was in the store and I saw this Christmas character, and the way they sculpted the fur on that character was very interesting, because you could tell it was sculpted and then baked in. It wasn't just a texture. I was looking at that, and then I used, I believe, the move tool, or whatever that, one of those brushes above the snake hook tool is called. So yeah, I noticed that I got a very similar result. So then I wondered if I could just create the hair from one sculpt. I could just sculpt the curves inside the hair mesh. But anyway, more on that later. What I'm doing over here right now is adding a torso, because, you know, usually when I make these sculpts, it's never just the head of a character. There's always, like, if it's a bust, it has at least the torso without like the arms. So you would have the upper body with the shoulders, maybe the stomach, and that's about it. So I quickly sculpted a torso, and I realized it was a very masculine looking torso with broad shoulders. The traps were looking very, you know, muscular and big. Same with the neck. So, you know, I placed it on the model and realized her neck looked way too thick. So I brought it all down, you know, smoothed a lot of it, and mostly just making the shoulders smaller, and especially the neck, making the neck narrower helped a lot in making her look like the, you know, the cute character that she is. And I wasn't really planning on doing anything more than just adding the torso there, and maybe add a t-shirt in the same pastel pinkish color that the background has. But, you know, then you went down the rabbit hole of just creating and creating. And I'll say this, the most I added was a t-shirt, and I gave her breasts. Yes, it's true. Very tragic, I know. No, but seriously though, I did sit down with my girlfriend and asked her, listen, if if her chest is way too much for you, you know, then we're gonna change it, because you're the original artist, and rather than making an interpretation of your art, I want to capture your character. And, you know, I did give her a torso, so I'd love to have your opinion on, or your direction on how you would do this. Because, you know, drawing stuff like body parts is still like a new thing for her, and she's practicing, she's doing great. But, you know, in the meantime, I could still visualize it and show her and have her direct how much it should be or what should be brought down. So in the end, I did bring it down a bit, because the original one looked a bit too ridiculous, I would say. So yeah, here I go again on the nose, and doing a whole bunch of stuff here. I'm using the scrape brush, which I think is a really good brush to you know, to mark like the flat areas and make it clear, you know, make certain parts clear. I added some Vertex Paint here to already get an idea. I honestly never used to use this brush that much, although it's relatively a pretty new brush. Like, I think they added it in 3.6. I'm not sure, it might have been before that. Yeah, so yeah, what happened over here was I was using an add-on that is supposed to make a time lapse for you inside of Blender and basically record your actions. But yeah, garbage add-on that didn't do anything for me, and in the end I just lost a whole bunch of footage I could have recorded. I should have just recorded from the get-go. Either way, here you go, and you can see me create the hair. So I'm just mostly relying on the snake hook brush, and I'm just clicking and holding and rotating my mouse, and it's creating these really nice swirls, and then I'm smoothing them out and remeshing and then inflating. So it's basically that process. So I keep on remeshing as I'm creating these swirls. And some of the other, you know, hair pieces do suffer under the quality of it because of all the remeshing that's happening. But that's fine though, because, you know, in the end, the whole thing will be remeshed in ZBrush anyway. And I will use like, I will do some additional sculpting using a Multires modifier. I don't know what I did in the back over here, but yeah, it was very messy, but I figured just maybe it's part of the randomness. So, and you can't see it either way anyway, so who's gonna look at that when she has, you know, balloons in the front? So like I was saying, the original, I believe this was the original, I think. Basically her breasts were too puffed out, and then my girlfriend told me bring it down a notch, stop, like they're squeezed in way too much right now. It's like she cannot breathe. So I fixed that, and yeah. Also what I'm doing over here is I'm judging the silhouette of the model and adjusting it a little bit. I think that's a great way to go about every model from now on, to judge this silhouette. You know, one thing I realized when making this model, she kind of reminded me of Hermione from Harry Potter. Although this would be a Hermione that's not obsessed with books, but with something else. Anyway, here's ZBrush, and I imported everything in ZBrush and used the ZRemesher tool. I didn't even bother to lay down the, you know, guidelines, because I figured I'm not gonna do much with it. But in the end, I did end up animating her, which is would have paid some attention on the topology. So in this version, the ears weren't even merged on. I'm still learning ZBrush. I would have just sculpted it in ZBrush, but yeah, right now I have no clue how to merge stuff together, really. I believe it's using Dynamesh, but I need to look up a lot of stuff for that first. But yeah, ZRemesher did an amazing job, and I brought it back into Blender. And yeah, then I used a shrink wrap with a multi-res and captured details from the face and the hair on the remeshed versions. And then I just kept using the remeshed versions and sculpted on top of that. Like for the t-shirt, I added wrinkles. For the face, added, you know, sharpened some of the bits. For the hair, I added a lot of like sharpening using the crease brush. And of course, you know, made some additional adjustments to the face, like the nose, the eyelids, you know, the eyebrows, all of that stuff. So just making sure to smooth it out, make it look sharper and more polished. Yeah, and over here I'm drawing the wrinkles on the shirt, on the front and the back, and on the sides a bit as well. I hope YouTube won't demonetize me for this shot. I'm just kidding, I don't make any money from YouTube. So, you know, what do I have to lose, right? Seriously though, it's just anatomy. Let's grow up. All it is just shoved, pushed in your face, and nothing wrong with that. So what I'm doing over here is, like I said before, I'm using the crease brush, but I'm using it inverted, when you hold down control and you crease something, it will actually sharpen it like an edge. And I'm doing that pretty much all over the model randomly. You know, I'm not counting every fucking curve, just looking at it and judging from every angle what looks good, what doesn't look good. And in the end, that's what you have to do. You know, you're the artist, so it's your judgment that counts. Nobody can do it for you. Lazy fuck. Now, finally, we have the final animation, you know, the final result. So what I did over here was essentially I added a rig for her, a simple rig, and I can show you what that looks like. So here's the rig. So I have a bunch of bones here that are moving automatically, and it's mainly, you know, the breast bones and the hair bones, as well as this little flower on her head. The petals are basically hanging in there, and yeah, I mean, what can I say? Like, I just added a few keyframes in there. And by the way, I'm practicing a lot of animation nowadays, so I'm kind of like, whenever I see an opportunity, I want to like add an animation to it. You know, it's funny, this character doesn't have any blend shapes for her face or whatever, and I animated her head and the rest of her body, and it wasn't until I realized her eyes aren't moving, so I quickly added one bone for each eye and an eye tracker bone. Animated that and immediately figured, okay, there's so much more life to the model, and it really just emphasizes how important eyes are in 3D models. Yeah, that's the Wiggle 2 add-on, by the way. It's a free add-on for Blender, and it will automatically like wiggle the bones that you mark. We have some, you know, subsurface scattering going on over here. And yeah, I also didn't show this, but this model was in fact textured in Substance Painter. Honestly, most of it was just, you know, like, let me show you here. Let me details over here. So it's just the color, the red parts of her face, as well as the freckles, and the one main freckle over here, lip gloss, all that stuff, and you know, all over her body, like the redness that you keep seeing. For her shirt, it's a simple wool texture, and honestly, the color channel, not much going on in the albedo channel, and there's actually nothing going on in the roughness channel either. And for the hair, just used a bunch of smart masks, and yeah, you know, these edges aren't the best. You can see the seams. Again, the topology, it's great topology for ZRemesher. I would say, like, the fact that this was just one click, it's amazing. But UV unwrapping this is hell, to say the least. Yeah, I could have like cleaned this up, but whatever. The flower was just hand painted in Substance, and then for the skin I used a normal map. This is from J Hill's texture packs. It's basically a micro wrinkle and then just tiled 80 times, and then made sure to like not overdo it. So I have this mixed node over here, so it's not like set to 1 because I don't want her to be so wrinkly, but you know, kind of like that, like at 0.3 almost. And that's it. Gave subsurface to the hair, and this is Eevee, by the way, so you know, it's all real time. It's the nice subsurface, looks really cool. Added subsurface to the fabric, because without subsurface it looks like this. Looks like concrete on her body, and that's what we do not want. So there we go, make it look nice and soft. There's pretty much subsurface all over this object, and you have to always keep that in mind with organic creatures or humanoid characters or plants even. Alright guys, that was the video for this week. Next week I'm gonna drop the first video of the character modeling series that I'm gonna drop, and I'm just gonna drop the videos one by one, and in the end I'm gonna make one big playlist so you can watch them all back to back. But yeah, in the first video I'm gonna show you exactly what you need for the tutorial. I'm gonna give you guys, you know, all the reference stuff that you need. So I got you covered with that. It's gonna be a beginner-friendly video. I'm gonna make it together with you from scratch. Next week, it's gonna drop on this channel, so make sure you do not miss it by hitting the subscribe button. And also, you know, while you're at it, just hit the bell notification icon as well. Just see what it does, okay? Make sure you guys check out my girlfriend's Instagram. She's the one that drew this beautiful piece of artwork. If you've been on this channel before, you already know that I upload every week on a weekend. So I'll see you guys in the next video.